Welcome to the Retro Graveyard. This time I have the Panasonic SG-J500L portable record player with cassette player and radio from around 1984. This one needs some attention, so I'll be replacing the belt in the cassette deck, the turntable belt, plus the drawer for the turntable won't stay closed, so I need to take a look at that. Before that though, let's have a closer look. So starting on the left, there's a headphone and mic socket, followed by a volume and tone slider and a light labelled operation, which is lit when the system is switched on. Next to that is an indicator light labelled FM stereo to indicate when you are tuned in to an FM stereo station. Then we have a row of 6 square buttons. First the red one, which is pressed to set the system to standby and also selects the tape input. Then phono for the record player. FM for FM radio, and next to that a button to switch between FM stereo and mono. And it also doubles up as a beat cut button for use with medium wave radio. And the medium wave button is next, and a button for long wave radio at the end. And here we have the tuning dial. And next on top are the controls for the cassette deck. Pause, stop and eject. Fast forward, rewind, play and record. And behind those, further back, is the handle. Now let's have a look at the back. There is a socket for the AC mains power, and you can see here there is a socket for the DC power, and next to that an AC voltage selector, which can be changed depending on which country you're in. Mine is set to 240 volt for the UK. And above here sits the built-in aerial. On the left hand side there is a battery compartment. I'll show you how this looked before I cleaned it later in the video. It takes 8 D-size batteries. Then on the bottom right there is a compartment where the 45 adapter lives. This is for 7-inch records with a larger hole. This compartment can also be used to store the 12 volt car adapter that was available as an optional extra at the time. So on to the jobs that need doing. First I'm going to take it apart so I can access the tape deck to change the belt on there as it's not working great. First the screws on the back. Then there is this metal plate holding the two halves of the system together. Now it's apart, I can show you the cassette mechanism here. When I press play, nothing happens unless I turn the flywheel myself. So I'm going to remove the whole mechanism so I can get to the belt. These screws need to be removed as well. Okay, so that's now fully removed. Time to take it apart. Now I'm not sure why, maybe it's because I'm still new to this, but when I removed this part, it didn't dawn on me that it shouldn't just come off like that. There is actually a washer missing that holds the whole assembly in place. This is probably the whole reason for it not playing correctly. I mean, it definitely would cause that. But changing the belt on here is still a good idea, as it's so old. It can't be in great shape. Turns out the old belt was quite stretched. So the new belt is on, now time to reassemble. So here is where I need to attach a washer. I took one off a spare mechanism I have. And now to reinstall it again. Let's try tape. Seems good. Now that's done, as I forgot to do it before, I'll struggle cleaning the heads this way. Here's how it sounds just played through the speakers. Now on to fixing the problem with the turntable not staying closed. This is the catch under the drawer that is designed to keep the turntable drawer closed, but I noticed that a piece was broken off. When I was taking the system apart, I did find a piece of plastic stuck with grease inside. It turns out it's the bit missing from here, so I'm going to super glue it back on. Next I'm going to replace the turntable belt with a new one. So this metal plate needs to come off. It's a bit fiddly. The belt goes around the platter, as you can see, and hooks around the motor that's just out of sight there. I didn't get a shot of that. You can see me stretching the belt inside. And now to put the whole thing back together. and the drawer is now staying closed. The last thing to do is change the old stylus for a new one. There's a handy sticker here telling you the model number of the stylus you need. It's a Sapphire EPS-41ST. The stylus is easily unclipped and the new one clips back in. In case you're interested, I'm going to see what the tracking force is on here. My original scales for this are broken, so I'm using these larger ones. I've tested them with another record player and they seem fine. So the weight on this is 6.42 grams. It seems a bit on the heavy side, which I'm surprised about because the arm isn't one solid piece. This piece towards the back is rubber, so basically the arm is bendy. I thought that would mean the tracking force would be reasonable at least, but it doesn't seem to be. The recommended tracking force of this stylus is 3 to 4 grams. You can also adjust the speed of the turntable underneath. It's just here, 45 and 33. I mentioned earlier that the battery compartment needed cleaning out. As you can see, the old sponge is disintegrated inside, so I removed it all and brushed it out. Being careful to put some tape over the gaps to stop the old sponge bits going inside the system. I also replaced the sponge on the back of the battery door. So that's the Panasonic SG-J500L, a low-end portable cassette radio record player from the early 80s. I wouldn't call it a boombox. It certainly has no boom, the sound quality is below average. But a fun system nevertheless. It would have been very handy to take with you on holiday, for example, or maybe to your friend's house along with a small box of vinyl. That's it for this video. I'm off to see what else I can dig up in the retro graveyard. Thanks for your attendance.